Um, you should all have a PDF file that Tiffany sent you that is the result of a national survey. It's a web survey, so we don't know the validity of the sampling size, but they were all libertarians. And the questions were about how the party supports local candidates, and how the libertarian structure is helping or hindering certain people. I'd like to state this: the Libertarian Party shows up every 4 years to back a president, and gets a lot of attention, and it's a lot of fun, and then sort of disappears from the public eye for 4 years. But it does not matter if a libertarian is elected, if there's no support anywhere else in this government, because a single woman or man cannot stand alone against the sea of corruption and power-hungry politicians that this person would have to face. Cannot. And we could bring Jesus Christ back, and he would have problems. And so if we elect a president, if this year, and this is the year, if this is not the year, there will never be a year. If we were to elect a president, what would happen? There is no support from anywhere. This person would have to try to implement the procedures and practices and the principles that we hold so dear by themselves. There's only so much you can do to fill cabinet positions. There's Congress, there's the Senate, there are local governments, state governments, sheriffs, mayors, and we have many of them running for office right now, and I'll bet few of you can name all the libertarians running in your region or in your state. And this is the tragedy. We have to stand together. We are the party of revolution. What does that mean? Revolution is something that happens suddenly, fast, unexpectedly. And how do revolutions form? They don't form always from gunfire and forcibly taking power. No. They happen by galvanizing the entire population along some common cause. And if we don't have a common cause in this country now, there will never be one. It's not just libertarians, it's the entire nation. The entire nation is suffering, angry, and frustrated. And who would not be? We are bearing the weight of one of the most corrupt and overburdened governments the world has ever seen. A parasitic government living off of our backs, off of the sweat of our brow, off of our labor, and, unfortunately, off of our fear. Off of our fear. How did things get so bad so quickly? In 20 years, the government said, oh my God, we're under attack. They have destroyed the World Trade Centers. We will save you. However, you have to give up some liberties, some privacy, certainly some freedoms. I mean, it's very obvious to anyone who travels what freedoms we have given up. Try to get on an airplane without standing in a line, taking off your shoes, taking off your belt, taking off your jacket, raising your hands in the air, and while somebody is patting you down, they are simultaneously scrutinizing your personal belongings. And they're saying, this is to protect you. I don't feel protected. I feel like the enemy. And you think all Americans don't feel the same? Our privacies have been removed. Our freedoms are being squeezed. We are placed in invisible cages, which the government wants to make smaller and smaller every year. And if you don't think all Americans feel that, then you haven't noticed what has happened in our political structure. Donald Trump is a result of America's anger against the system. What is his only attribute? He has never been a politician. He was never a mayor. He was never a sheriff. He was never a congressman. We, as Americans, don't want this shit anymore. We don't. Because what is politics? Politics is defined, and look it up in Webster's or any dictionary, defined as those practices and procedures required to gain power within government or to retain power in government. Is this what we want? Is this what was intended when our Constitution was put together? No. Governments are designed to serve. And what does our government do? It tells us what to do, what we can or cannot do. That we must open ourselves up so that it may invade our privacy, so that it can ensure us that we are not the enemy it is protecting us from. See the insanity? And we want to put a president in office alone? No. We have to support everybody. Everybody. I mean, from the dog catcher on up to the congressman and the senator. And we need more of these people. But more importantly, how are revolutions won? They're not won by fighting the system from within the system. What happens when we do that? Every slow step becomes a compromise of principle. Surely, libertarians would not do this, and yet we are and have. I mean, just look at, as an example, a recent vice presidential selection. A man who does not believe in complete gun rights, who does not want anyone under 21 having a gun, does not want more than 17 rounds in a magazine. And if the gun is not to be used for hunting, why should you have it? Please, do you not see how our principles are being violated by that? Now, I understand the political necessity of that, but are we politicians? Are we seeking power? Or are we seeking to reduce power? If we're seeking to reduce power, then we want nothing to do with that. I'm not a politician, and I will not play the political game to move the Libertarian Party ahead. No. What do we do as libertarians? Be realistic and honest with yourselves. We sit around tables and we discuss the evidence and other principles endlessly. Does that help? No. Who are our friends? Libertarians. Who do we have parties with? Libertarians. How on earth will we move this party forward? By continuing in that manner. We can't. We need to change the fundamental focus that we are trying to achieve. Because what we're trying to achieve is not to use the political process to gain power, to get a president. We're trying to change the American public's mind so that they can see reality for what it is. The nightmare of this government, that we all know something's wrong, everybody's angry, and we know somewhere, somehow, a politician is responsible. But we can tell them exactly what the problem is. It is force. Power creates force. Those who are powerful force those who are not into the line that the powerful choose for them. We're doing it overseas now. We interfere in the affairs of weaker nations and do as we please, and then wonder why there are terrorists trying to kill us. We wonder why, universally in the world, we as Americans are disliked by the general populace in those countries. So, bring the troops home, number one. Stop interfering. Stop using force. Reduce the government. And the only way the American people will get behind that is if we stop speaking libertarianese and speak English to them in a way that they can connect their issues to our solution. And the issues are never what people think they are. People are going, oh my God, it's the interest rates. Or, oh my God, it's the border. Or, oh my God, it's this. Or no, it's not. You know what the issues really are. Your mortgage is due and you don't have the money. Your grandfather is dying in a hospital. Your wife or husband just left you. Your children aren't doing well in school. These are the issues. I promise you, around this table, where we discuss endlessly abstract principles, if reality comes in, we will shut up and deal with the reality. And every American has this. And why do we have a hard time with our mortgage? Because the government sucks up a massive percentage of the sweat of our brow through taxes. We feel that we are encaged because we cannot go anywhere in this country without multiple cameras on rooftops and stoplights. and on the street corners, watching us, without microphones, listening to us. I went to get my license renewed, and this is before I was taken away for a year, and the DMV was a sign saying, notice, conversations will be recorded within this building. Well, thank you for letting me know. I assumed it anyway. This is America. You are part of the government. We all are suffering. We all know this. We know we're constrained. Our liberties are taken. We feel frustrated. So good. We have a common cause. We are 500,000 strong, 500,000 libertarians. Good God. Do you realize that Vladimir Lenin had 10,000 followers when he turned Russia upside down in 9 months? And I'm not promoting communism. Mahatma Gandhi did the same thing in India with no violence whatsoever. Why? Because he connected with the human being, the common man, the one suffering just like him. The only difference was he had the solution. So we can talk to ourselves all day long and we will get nowhere. We can put on suits and play the political game and take money and connect ourselves with other politicians. We will get nowhere. Nowhere. We must step out of this. Write an article, not for libertarians, but for the world, for America, and give it out. Someone's going to publish it. People are looking for articles, and the written word still has massive power. Knock on your neighbor's door and bring them in and say, I have an idea. I've thought of these things. Let them know that there may be solutions. There may be ideas they had not thought about. Carry a sign in the street if you have to carry it by yourself. If you have to carry it by yourself, who cares? Because if you do it, and if what you say on that sign is true, tomorrow you'll be joined by 10 people. If it's a true statement, and the day after by 100, this is how revolutions work. And if you're going to take advantage of this year and this chaos and this dissatisfaction, we cannot do it by being politicians. We have to do it by reaching the people. And the people we need to reach first are those in our ranks who are feeling no support, no help, alone, fighting a battle with great principles, but ignored. Why? Well, we have people running for president, and they get on television. I don't give a shit. I'm on television all the time. It doesn't mean anything. I'm on television more than any other candidate. Who cares? It's meaningless. It's what I do. Like, I have not filed a tax return for 4 years, and I will never file another. And at the convention, I will announce it to the national press. I will put myself on the line and invite the IRS. You know where I live? Come and get me. I refuse to participate in this system that has become oppressive and corrupt. I'm not saying you have to do that, but you can carry a sign. You can knock on your neighbor's door. You can support the local libertarians running for whatever office, and you can say something, speak out, do something. This is the revolution, and it doesn't have to happen next year. It has to happen this year. And you think, oh my God, it's only a few months, we can't do that. Bullshit. Bullshit. The greatest and shortest revolution of all times was a reverse revolution in Russia. On December 18th of 1991, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was sound and solid. No one imagined anything, and the next morning it was gone. It disappeared overnight. A revolution against what had been the revolution that Vladimir Lenin started in 1917. And again, in 1917, Vladimir Lenin had been arrested more times than he can count, mostly by government corruption and charges that were not true, and he was expelled. In February of 1917, he returned. In November, he was the leader of Russia, and Russia had been turned upside down. You think we can't do this? He started with 10,000 followers, 500,000 of us. Please, we can. But first, we have to support others. This is not about the presidency. This is not about personalities. This is not about one of us against Trump and Clinton. You are missing the point if you think it is. This is a movement from America's heart, not against the people in government, but about the system that created those types of people. Politics creates politicians, and always will and always has. This is what we're up against. And Tiffany, by the way, and again, please support all of the locals. Tiffany, you want to come and have a seat? My campaign manager who put our survey together is going to come and explain it to you. Afterwards, I'm going to come and sit back down. If you have any questions, and if my voice is still here, I will answer them. Okay?
Great. Hi, everyone. I can't actually tell if you guys can see me.
You're short.
I know.
There.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We've got quite a few people. This was a really interesting opportunity for all of us.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. As some of you guys may...
Making her taller here.
Thank you. As some of you guys may be aware, I just joined the campaign about 4 weeks ago. And since then, right when I began to kind of join this team and ramp everything up, John came to me and said that he had been traveling the country on the campaign trail and speaking to hundreds of people, candidates, people who have been involved in the campaigning process in the Libertarian Party, state chairs, leaders, active members, inactive members. And one of the common things he continued to hear over and over again was this wide diversity of satisfaction with the party, growing the party, the infrastructure, everything from technology to how many meetings are run in their local chapters. Usually when someone comes in and takes over as a leadership position in an organization, you ask people how their experience is, and if you have such a wide diversity of opinions, usually that means something's wrong. So John asked me, he said, I know that this is going to divert attention and resources away from the actual campaign, but I want you to go figure out what's broken and come up with ways that we can fix it, but from the grassroots up. We don't want to come in and tell anybody how to fix anything. We want them to tell us what they need. So I'm a consultant. I've worked in many startups, and our entire team that John attracts have a wide array of interests and talents, and everything from, you know, crypto anarchists to hackers and awesome individuals that love marketing or social media. They love technology. Silicon Valley crowd, techno-libertarians, if you will. 1,100 people tried to volunteer with the campaign between February and mid-April, and a lot of them, again, come from all different backgrounds and walks of life. These are essentially libertarians that live a libertarian life, but are never, ever involved in the party. So we began to work with them and try to figure out how we could do step number one, supporting the candidates, which are the backbone of the entire party. We discovered in maybe the first day of this outreach program, there was no database that existed, and this database that doesn't exist doesn't let us know who actually is running, who has run, who is someone who's an active candidate currently right now. So our volunteers, amidst arguing over who is the better coder, has spent the better part of about 48 hours scraping all of the existing websites from the national to state to local in order to actually come up with the first indexed, searchable, dynamic database for candidates that are running for the Libertarian Party. Once we began to interface with those candidates, we saw that the majority of them had overlapping roles. Most of them were either a leadership position or were an evangelist or a hardcore supporter of the party in general, not just of their own candidacy. They actually gave us the idea for the second initiative in Vote Different, which was to go around to the entire party, anybody and everybody who would take the survey, and ask them about the state of affairs. So that's what we did. We soft launched it, and then we hard launched it as well. And throughout that time, we were actually able to talk to people, engage with them, and find out exactly what it is that they want, what they need. I'm sure a majority of you guys on this call either took the survey or were aware of it. But what we came up with is, you know, we don't want to blame anybody. Most of us have been libertarians for over a decade and had very little engagement with the party. But we want to criticize by creating. And this creating is going to be solutions driven. So we are already have rolled out a knowledge database that is going to be built by libertarians for libertarians, leveraging the same exact tools that startups all over the world use that are almost all free. There's automation tools, things that can help with analytics, SEO, marketing. I mean, when I had a candidate basically tell me that they felt like they couldn't really brag about their website, or they couldn't really promote their candidacy because they felt like it was boring, it was old school, it wasn't very inspiring, and they were embarrassed by that. There wasn't really anybody helping them say, hey, well, here's a whole team of people that are website developers or designers that are also libertarians that want to help the party, that can add it to their resume, and build the infrastructure as well. So this right here is a good way to get talented individuals who are very excited to contribute, and individuals who really, really need help, but can't know everything that there is to know. They're candidates. Their whole job is to win campaigns and spread the message of liberty, not know how to take a proper profile photo for your campaign website or understand, the finer points of search engine optimization. So we're determining what is broken and then marrying the need with the individual who can provide the service. So far in the initial testing phase, this has gone beautifully. Everyone's very excited, actually networking with other libertarians that are now helping each other. We're giving them something active to do. So one of the major things that we discovered, and the survey results should be on a Google Drive link that was mailed out to everyone. Some people, because we're doing an A/B test, which is something all libertarians should be doing, may not have received it yet. If not, I can put it up on the live drive. But basically, we started with the basics. How often does your chapter meet? What's the average size of your party meetings? The most responses from individuals that I think were very excited to give us additional feedback all came from people who are either very hardcore active members who have been begging for technology for a really long time. These are basic things that they want. Basic automation tools. Things that literally, if you just do a 5-minute webinar and how to get this done, can be instantly installed. These are all very, very easy, and they're free. So these types of tools, we are going to be rolling them out in a suite that's going to be built on the knowledge base. And if you go to votedifferent.us, you'll already see that we've got quite a few tools there. And then I'll tell you guys how you can also help and get more involved. But overall, the average size of a libertarian meeting grew about 5 to 10 people, is about 42%. These aren't huge groups. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how productive and results-oriented did they feel that they were? And out of 1 to 10, it was a 4. When we pressed and asked why they weren't more productive and results-oriented, it almost always came back to the same thing. There's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of busy work. There's a lot of just administrative nonsense that really you don't need to have done. I mean, there's you can use, I'm sorry?
It's an echo.
Oh, okay. You can use things like a drag-in dictation, for instance. That is a much easier way to take meeting notes for any sort of group event or meeting. There are so many different ways that you can get people to get on board and actually be on the same call using something called vite.in, which is a free service that allows everyone to choose the time that they can actually participate in the event. All of this stuff is free. People just need to know how to use it. They need to know that the service exists. So once we actually started finding what these problems were, we started telling people and informing them of all the different resources they could use. And several of the individuals that we began to work with at first, just a handful, 10 people, were so thrilled and excited to actually roll this out. It was an instant success. So 10 minutes of our time spent training one person for 10 minutes. I'd shared my screen and literally walked this awesome individual who was a state chair of an unknown state, I'm not going to mention, but is having these awful problems trying to onboard volunteers. I showed her an entire automation process for her own landing page. A free tool called Sumo Me, which shows a heat map that tells you where people are clicking, so that you know whether your message is getting across. You know whether volunteers, you need to make the all call sign for them a little bit bigger, or you need to do something else. Whatever your goal is of your website, whether you're a state chapter or an active member, grassroots recruiter, whatever it is, these are free tools you can see and understand whether it's working or not. So this is huge. The Democrats and the Republicans do this. Democrats have a system called Project Ivy, where if you're a local candidate, you can actually reach out to them, and they will, in 24 hours, get you from a data scientist, a data analyst, an entire list of people that you can target. We cannot win anything in the general, or even compete if we do not implement these very, very lean and agile tools that people, again, are using in the startup world every single day. So with that being said, another thing that really stuck out, and this is another thing that we really want to focus on as well, is on a scale of 1 to 5, how would people rate the effectiveness of their chapter's leadership? And it was a 2.9. So 1 out of 5 is a 3. That's not bad. But then when we went back and asked the state leaders, okay, well, what do you feel like you're doing well? What do you feel like you could do better? And it all came back to organization, being able to get things out, materials out in a timely manner, which again, all this stuff can be automated, having one Google Drive or one Dropbox for the whole party versus emailing documents that get lost and can't ever track where things are going. Also building a community. Well, they had never heard of Slack, which is a really, really cool tool, slack.com, you can check it out. The entire Bernie campaign is using that. Our campaign is using it. I've probably launched for 5 different clients. I've launched these communities that have helped build camaraderie, help build unity within these individual groups that are all driving for the same thing. So these are all tools, again, free, that exist, that they just weren't aware of. Those who are rolling them out now, we're going to be doing case studies on them, and then we're going to basically provide a manual for people with suggestions. Well, what works in Texas may not work in Nevada. Massive group in New York may not work for Rhode Island. So we want options. We want to show what people have used and what has worked for them in the past, and then give some actual specifics as to how they rolled this out. How much time did it take? Was it free? How many people? Was there a knowledge problem? So all these tools and resources, rolling them out and then giving them easy onboarding and training using things like Udemy, U-D-E-M-Y, for those of you who are familiar. Free online training courses. I could literally teach you right now something that can then just be on that platform website for anybody to access. So this is what we're already rolling out. The main thing that we want to do here, besides just marrying people who have a problem, we want to actually support the infrastructure of the party quickly, and we need people to do that. So if you're a libertarian, you have a special skill. If you know how to design pamphlets and brochures, and you're willing to give 10 minutes of your time, come for us and tell us, hey, I want to join your community. I want to help other people. We do not have the same problem that the Democrats and the Republicans do, that they are bloated, they are massive, and they are overfunded. We are lean, we are fast, we are scrappy, and we can bootstrap this and get this party into a position where it can actually compete on a national level. If we don't, we are in big trouble. Doesn't matter who wins what. If we don't have that, we continue to have more of the same. We continue to fail to leverage technology in order to actually help us thrive, just like any company would need to do in order to make its bottom line or not have to shutter its doors. Another thing that I would kind of want to focus on really quickly, and then I'll kind of wrap it up and then turn it back over to John. We've got in this survey here, which again, I wish you guys all had it in front of you. I may just drop another link in there to a non-beautiful version of it for those of you who may not have received it yet. Overall culture of cooperation between party members on a scale of 1 to 10 was 3.2. That's not cool. How quickly does your chapter respond to volunteers on a scale of 1 to 5 was a 3. That's pretty good. But the damning and really disturbing answer came from a question that basically says, and I'll read it to you, a crab mentality hampers the growth, is true or false? A crab mentality hampers the growth of the Libertarian Party. A metaphor for if the I can't have it, the neither can you mindset that's referring to a bucket of crabs, and how when any crab tries to climb out, the others pull it back down in this useless king of the hill competition that prevents any from escaping. 52% said true. 32% said false. 16% said I don't know. That is, we have a very serious mission that is incredibly unacceptable, and I'm sure any libertarian feels the same way. When asked that follow-up question, true or false, I've personally observed the crab mentality within the Libertarian Party. 48% said true. 29% said false, and 23% said I don't know. That's pretty brutal. So, this was a promising element here. My state or local party leadership is welcoming to diverse, young, and inspired libertarians. 93% said yes. So how do we bring in those young, inspired, diverse, awesome libertarians, the same people, the 1,100 people that are attracted to volunteering for John's campaign, this mobile, amazing army of people who are passionate and who all agree with us. We all are here because we love liberty. How do we get and keep them in a culture that has the crowd mentality? We've got some soul searching to do there. And I think bringing in some of that new blood is what so many of these leaders have told us that we wanted for forever. Well, you can't bring new blood into a toxic culture, but you also can't make a toxic culture recover if people are spending 45 hours a month on freaking spreadsheets. It could be automated rather than actually networking and community building and driving ballot access or writing press releases for something that's liberty oriented to make sure that everyone knows that there's a party local and they have opinions on things that are happening. These are the types of things I think we can do easy fixes, and it will open the door for a larger audience, and it will also make these very passionate, tired volunteers that have poured themselves into growing this movement, poured themselves into making this the fastest growing party in the country, and they're exhausted because they're wasting their talents and their time on things that can be automated and leveraged in a totally unique and original way. So we are going to be driving on this very hard. Again, this team's kind of like a pit bull. Now that it's got a stake in its mouth, good luck getting it out. We are very, very serious about implementing these things very quickly, and we need the rest of you to help as well. We need people who have run successful campaigns to do a monthly call with your fellow candidates. Talk to them, give them tips and advice and tricks. State chairs that are super excited to have a monthly call with other state chairs. We're organizing that right now with a select group so they can start telling us what works for them. These specific states that are crushing it, doing a really, really good job, they need to share with the states who are struggling right now. So we're implementing this infrastructure. We are not promising, we are doing. We are not talking, we are getting it done. So we need help. And if you're interested in becoming a part of this, of course I'll be, again, sharing the survey results with the rest of you, but if you're interested in being a part of this, I have a link that I will drop in here to a Facebook group that, again, it's not beautiful, but we're just starting it. We're getting it going. We're hitting the ground running, and we have to. Otherwise, we are going to run out of time. Another thing is when you actually get these survey results back, any feedback that you have, my email is tiffany@BeALibertarian.com. Any feedback that you have about these survey results, we're going to do them once a quarter. Sorry, I know you guys can't see me. We're going to do them once a quarter. And we're going to constantly take the pulse of what is actually happening in real time so that we know if what we're doing is working and if it's not. So right now, those are really the two main things. That call to action is if you are, again, you know how to do marketing. One last stat, just to kind of capitalize on that really quickly. One of the main things that people wanted above all else, what resources or training would be most beneficial? Fundraising, training, tactics, processes, procedures, 53%. Media, writing a press release that's savvy, that's attractive, that will actually get media attention, not just a standard, boring, run-of-the-mill release. Do you know how to do that? If so, let us know, because 53% of your fellow libertarians need that. Are you a leader? Are you an entrepreneur? Because 46% have trouble with organizational structure. They want leadership, tactics, best practices, team building, community building. Do you know how to do social media? We'll pair up with one of the candidates that signs up for us to let them know that there's tools like Buffer and TweetDeck and social analytics resources that they can use to actually communicate dynamically with their audience. So these are the things that we need. We have an incredibly talented pool of amazing individuals, free spirits that will give their time as long as their time is being put to meaningful use. So that's what our goal is here. That's what we're doing. We cannot build a party that's going to be capable of competing without taking this critical step, period. And we've got to do it from the grassroots up. So thank you for your time. I will turn it back over to John. And yeah, I'll get these results to anybody in the chat room as well.
Very good, Ms. Tiffany. Excuse me, guys. All right. Can anybody see me? Yeah, we've got 5%. I've got 5% of battery, and I'm opening it for questions until the battery dies. All right? Anybody have a question? Make sure you unmute your mic. If you don't, I won't be able to hear you. Hello?
All right, so I guess I'll go first. Climate change. What will you do about it? What are your opinions? And yeah.
Climate change? Here's something that people do not understand about individuals. The world is self-correcting if you use the proper principles. Let's say you're a libertarian and you do not want to sell anything to red-headed people. Well, then go ahead, don't. Because what will happen? The red-headed people will go to your competition, meaning that you will lose money and your competition will gain money. It is self-correcting. The environment is no different. We are not stupid. As people, we notice that something is happening in industry in our area, in our village is polluting something, and we're not going to support that. The government can do nothing. What can a corrupt government do other than make money off of the problem somehow? Because that's really all that this government has ever done. So it is not a federal problem. It is not. It is a local problem. It's a problem of humans interacting with humans and letting the free market correct itself. I mean, what is the source of most of our pollution? Seriously, it is our military. Check it out. Look at the numbers. We, as a government, are the largest polluters while we're trying to prevent everybody else from doing things. The government is polluting the entire world. So, you know, we don't belong there. Anything else? Any other questions?
Well, speaking of government, what about as far as government more or less spying on the private sector without kind of, you know, I understand like you have to have some kind of securities in place to prevent acts of violence, but I don't, you know, the government I think steps in a little too much and goes where they shouldn't be putting their noses in when it comes to private individuals. What's your take on that?
Well, I think everybody knows my take on privacy. It's been my platform of living for years. I mean, I debated the FBI's mouthpiece on CNN for 15 minutes about his contention that in order to gain security, we must give up privacy. But if you give up privacy, you give up freedom. Think about this. You can't have freedom without privacy. So it is fundamentally important. The government should be spying on nothing or no one in this country. Never. Never. We should be spying on the government. Why can't I go into the White House and say, turn over all of your documents. I want to see what you've been doing with my tax dollars and my friends' tax dollars. Can we do that? No. The roles have been reversed. The government is here to serve us. We're not here to serve it. We're not here to open our lives to evaluation to the government. The government should open its doors to us. Why should there be privacy? Well, they give you all these arguments. Well, our enemies, our foreign nations will find out. Good God, give me a break. Do you think our foreign enemies do not know every single thing that we do? Our government is filled with spies, and we don't even need spies anymore. Electronically, Russia, China, Iran, Uzbekistan, Korea can find out anything about anything happening in our government electronically through hacking. And they're not going to let us know as citizens. Everybody else knows. Every other government knows, but we don't. Give me a break. I'm not buying that shit. It's wrong. Any other questions?
Don't be shy.
And you better hurry. My battery's down to 3%.
I was just recalling with my friend here how you mentioned that you haven't filed a tax return in 4 years, and I was just kind of wondering, what if a whole bunch of people did that at the same time? What do you think would happen, and what do you think is a possibility that maybe that turns into the government being unable to collect those taxes?
Well, I would welcome if everybody did it at the same time. That would be the revolution, wouldn't it? How can a government then suppress us with no money? Because that's all they know how to operate on, is money and power. We can get by. You know as a human being that you can get by. The government can't. So yeah, go ahead. That would be fine with me. But we don't need to go that far. Carry a sign in the street. Be a civil disobedient in some way or other. Why? Because it collects eyeballs and people take notice. Even one sign in the street. Wear your swimming suit. Go naked. I promise you, national news will pay attention. And what will happen? The words on your sign will be in everybody's mind. This is revolution. One person can change, but it can't support the change without all of us. The sign alone, without all of us carrying that sign with you, gets the attention, and then it gets suppressed. Did the government suppress the Million Man March? Does the government suppress mass disobedience? Hell no. They're terrified of it. In all reality, we hold the power. People say, well, you know, you don't want to play politics, but you're asking people to vote. Yes, why? The voting is the flaw in the system of power in this nation. I'm not asking the people to play politics. I'm asking them to make a personal frigging choice. This is not politics. This is you, just like you carrying the sign. The individual Americans that we carry that sign for will go out and press a button. It is a choice. It is the ultimate individual power in this country. See it. See how we can bring change, and we can bring it now if we stop talking and start acting. Anything else? Well, I thank you very much. This has been an hour, and probably more than you guys wanted. Tiffany is always available. You can reach me through Tiffany. There's no one I've ever refused to talk to, or no group I've ever refused to talk to. I talked to a group in Texas yesterday for an hour of 6 people, all of them farmers. I loved it. I loved it. They were people of the earth who understood what the hell is going on here in a depressed part of this world with no help, still being forced to pay taxes, still being under the heel of this corrupt government. 6 people. I talked for an hour. I'll talk to an hour for even one person. I spend 15 minutes a day writing a response to an 8 or 9-year-old kid who asked a question. So there's nothing and no one I will not talk to. So you can reach me through Tiffany. I'm an official McAfee on Twitter, and just John McAfee, public figure on Facebook. I answer everything. Ask anybody. So I've really enjoyed this. I don't know if you gained anything from it, but I've done my best. And Tiffany, God bless you. Thank you. We're doing what we can. We are doing what we can, and I'm only asking you to do what you can. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate you being here. And we're going
And I'm going to say something real quick, too.
Oh, hang on. Tiffany wants to say something.
I'm going to emphasize this link.
Okay, what's this? Hang on. Tiffany. Tiffany's slapping me around because she said she wants to give you a link.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. Yeah, we did. His phone ended up dying. So I just wanted to point to everyone over in the corner here on the right. There's the Facebook group for the Vote Different initiative. I'm going to be posting the survey results in there in case you're not a subscriber to our website. Please feel free to join. If there's any candidates that you are aware that would like support or help, or anybody who's an activist, a party organizer, chapter, state, whatever, anybody who just takes an active role, whether you're a treasurer at any level of the party, please consider joining, inviting as many people as possible. We're going to be rolling out the actual knowledge-based suite there, which is going to have the first original tools. One of the major things that we're working on, our marketer right now is putting together a webinar on how to get the maximum amount of leverage of $25 and Facebook ads. He's a marketing expert in his 9-to-5 profession, and he's going to get that done and squared away specifically for our candidates and also people who may want to be putting it out, not just for campaigns, but for their state and local chapter. So these are some of the first tools that we're going to be getting together. So please feel free to join that group. Also, my email is there, so if you need anything or have any questions, feel free to holler at me. And also, if anybody here is going to be in Orlando, John will be, and is a candidate, John will be meeting with people, hosting another town hall in person on Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we want that specifically for candidates to actually get in and talk not just about the initiative, but what their experience has been, pros, cons, pluses, minus, things that they think that we may need to also support other candidates as well. So thank you all, everyone. Have a great evening, and yeah, cheers.